Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there ruled a cruel king named Vortis. He was a greedy monarch who hoarded gold like a dragon and saw every sunrise as an opportunity to acquire more wealth and power. The people suffered under his merciless rule. He imposed heavy taxes, demanded exorbitant tributes, and crushed any sign of dissent with swift and brutal punishments. In his golden palace, he feasted on delicacies, while outside starvation walked hand in hand with his subjects. Then one year a terrible drought struck the land. Crops withered, rivers dried, and the people starved. Yet Vortis, oblivious to the misery around him, demanded even more grain as tribute. He heard rumors of a wise and generous farmer named Elias, who still had hidden stores of wheat and secretly planned to use it to feed the hungry. Intrigued by the prospect of acquiring more grain and perhaps hoping to find a way to break the curse of the drought, Vortis decided to summon the wise farmer to his court. When Elias heard the king's summons, he calmly continued his work. He wasn't afraid because he knew his actions were right. However, when he arrived at the palace, he found out why so many before him had been afraid of Vortis. Inside the throne room, the king sat on his lavish throne, his face twisted into a sneer. "So you are the famous wise farmer," he said. "They say you have stores of wheat hidden in your barn. Hand it over and maybe I'll be in a good mood and lower the taxes." "My stores belong to those who need it more than me," said Elias. "But if you want to see them, I will show you." "Very well," sneered the king. "I'll make you a deal. If you can answer my riddle, I'll lower taxes for all. Fail, and I'll take your land and your life." Before Elias could respond, the king continued, "Here is my riddle. What is greater than the gods, more evil than demons? The rich need it, the poor have it, and if you eat it, you die." Elias stood quietly listening to the king's riddle. After a moment, he looked up, his eyes shining with wisdom. "My answer is nothing." The king froze. He stared at Elias, his face drained of color. All the advisors leaned forward, eager to hear the king's response. The silence stretched, broken only by the sound of a single drop of sweat hitting the marble floor. Finally, Vortis burst out, "Wrong! You failed, and now as promised, I shall take your life." "But your majesty," protested the advisors, "the boy did answer correctly. Nothing is greater than the gods, more evil than demons. The rich need it, the poor have it, and if you eat it, you die. Nothing fits that description." "Silence!" roared the king, his eyes blazing with anger. "I am the king, and even if he is right, which he isn't, I don't care. I want him dead." The advisors bowed their heads, knowing better than to argue with the king. They watched as the guards approached Elias, their faces impassive, ready to carry out their king's orders. As the guards closed in on Elias, the crowd gasped. Surely the king wouldn't dare. But Vortis watched with amusement as his guards dragged the farmer to the courtyard where a large crowd had gathered, curious about the day's events. "You summoned me to your court, your majesty," said Elias, looking at Vortis, "and I fulfilled your request. So you must honor our bargain and release me." The king smiled cruelly. "Fool, do you think I'll let you go after you defied me? Prepare to die." As the guards tightened their grip on Elias, the people cried out in protest, but Vortis silenced them with a wave of his hand. "Enough! Get on with it." Suddenly something unexpected happened. A woman rushed into the courtyard, pushing her way through the crowd. Kneeling before the king, she said, "Your Majesty, I beg you, spare the farmer's life. My son, little Thomas, has been ill, and he asked me to bring you this basket of berries. He says you love such things." Vortis frowned, then smiled, his anger forgotten. "Ah yes, I do love berries. Bring them here." The woman handed the basket to the king, who began eating the berries. Then he noticed something strange. They were bitter. "What?" he exclaimed, spitting them out. "Are these not the sweet berries I asked for? You tricked me." The woman looked back innocently and said, "These are the same berries I picked myself. Perhaps you have simply lost your taste for sweetness." She turned to the crowd and asked, "Hasn't the king always enjoyed eating wild berries?" The crowd murmured in agreement. Vortis, realizing he had been tricked, looked at Elias. His eyes filled with hatred. But as he opened his mouth to speak, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and collapsed. His face contorted in pain as he clutched his chest, unable to speak. Then he looked at Elias, fear dawning on his face. "The berries," he whispered. "They are bitter. What did you do?" Elias stepped forward, his voice calm and steady. "I only did what you asked me to do, Your Majesty. You wanted an honest answer to your riddle. I gave it to you. You promised to honor our bargain. It seems you've changed your mind." Vortis struggled to speak, but only a gurgle escaped his lips. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth, staining his royal robe. He looked at the crowd, his eyes pleading for help, but no one came to his aid. They stood by, watching silently, as the king, once feared by all, writhed in pain and slowly lost consciousness. News of the king's sudden illness spread like wildfire. People from neighboring villages came running, bringing with them tales of a mysterious sickness that had struck other monarchs who had wronged them. Many of the villagers who had suffered under Vortis's rule flocked to the city, hoping to catch a glimpse of their oppressor in his final moments. Meanwhile, inside the palace, Vortis lay on his deathbed, his body racked with pain. His counselors and advisors stood around him, their faces etched with worry. They had served the king faithfully, but they knew his demise was imminent. There was nothing they could do to save him. After a few days of excruciating pain, the king finally passed away. The people rejoiced when they heard the news. They celebrated in the streets, dancing and singing, as if the very heavens were rejoicing with them. Elias, however, remained quiet, his thoughts with those who had suffered during Vortis's reign. He knew that while the king was gone, their problems weren't over yet. In the aftermath of Vortis's death, the people turned to Elias for leadership. They elected him as their new king, and he accepted the responsibility with a heavy heart. Though he was not ambitious and had never sought the crown, he knew it was his duty to lead his people through these difficult times. Unlike Vortis, Elias ruled with compassion and understanding. He shared his grain with the starving, healed the sick, and punished the corrupt officials who had thrived under the previous regime. His wisdom and fairness brought prosperity to the kingdom, and the people lived in peace and harmony once more. As the years passed, the memory of Vortis faded into legend. The people spoke of him only in hushed tones, warning their children to never forget the cruelty of the former king. Meanwhile, Elias's name was sung in taverns and around campfires, becoming a symbol of hope and justice for generations to come. And so it goes to show, no throne built on fear and oppression can last forever. Only those who rule with kindness and serve their people with humility can truly claim the right to lead. Now it's time for some shameless self-promotion. To get more folktales like this one, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when a new story is posted. You can also follow the author on social media to get sneak peeks at upcoming stories and interact with other folktale enthusiasts. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy reading.